Hello, friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates for y'all. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my Forever World at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by RayneDeoman on May 27th, 2026, and was titled, Am I the Jerk for Not Forgiving My Brother After He Almost Killed Me? My brother, 32 male, his girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 27 male, all live with our mother. I'd give more detail on that, but it's not the point of this post, so I'll only give more detail if someone asks. My brother has been stealing money from our mom every day to buy Dunkin' Donuts coffee from this coin jug she has. It's a water jug, but empty, and she just throws her coins into it. The first few times, he tried to hide it from all of us, but on the fourth time, he was forced to put the jug back with me in the room, and he said, Don't judge me, I need it. And I gave her $800 last week. If she wants to bark at me for $4, she can. I didn't know what to say, so I just didn't say anything. I'll spare the extensive details of my line of thinking, but the short version is that I just didn't want to start a scene since I had faith he'd atone once he could, and this was from desperation. I will say that I don't agree with any of his justifications. I don't think you could justify stealing from your mom, especially when she sacrifices so much for you. Also, it was $4 every day, so I don't know why he said $4 unless he was trying to reduce guilt or something. Yesterday was day 6, and the breaking point. He needed coffee again, and I told him that I had bought coffee for the home to save us money and would make him some if he'd like it. I gave him the coffee, and he said it was too watery. Yeah, it's going to be. It's pot coffee, and you're used to Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Regardless, he said he didn't want it because it was watery, and stole from mom's room to go buy from Dunkin' again. Now, this is eating at me so much that I gotta say something, so I call my other brother and ask for advice. He tells me that my fears are true, that this will cause a rift between me and my brother, but if I don't say something, then I am not looking out for my mom and am condoning these actions. Actions have consequences, and it's not wrong to tell mom that he's been stealing from her. Flash forward to 5 p.m. and mom's home. I go on a walk with her and tell her what happened. She confronts my brother about it, and he says, Yeah, I took some change from you, but I gave you $800 last week. If you have a problem with it, how about you give me my $300 back? My mom promptly responds with, Yeah, sure I will, and you can get out today. My brother then screams and breaks a bunch of things. Mom follows after him to tell him to leave now. He attacks her, and his girlfriend jumps in. I then jump in to break them up physically, and he grabs me by the neck. Mom did escape due to the redirect, but now I'm fighting off 2 people. Mom reminds me that he's trying to get me to do something to get me in trouble, and I should just leave. I leave as soon as I am physically able to. I tell him I'm going to call the police, and this reaches the main focus of my problems here. My brother yells at us that if we're going to ruin his life, he'll ruin it first, and loads a revolver to shoot himself. I do not think about if he's going to shoot himself or shoot us. I see him loading a gun and screaming at us. I tackle him, along with the rest of us, and we try to remove the gun from his hands. He places it against my right thigh, around where my artery is, and I hear the gun click. I pry the gun away from him, and I open it so I can remove the bullets. There was 1 bullet, and it was 1 chamber off. He gets up and runs away, driving away in his car. The Unga speak of the rest of the events are, Cops come, brother caught, mom sad, me mad, brother not jail, brother mental hospital, girlfriend move out, brother call, brother berate us, brother narcissist? Brother entitled? Me not speak to brother. Me stay night at other brother's house for peace of mind. Now, here's how I feel about the situation. I love both of my brothers, especially the one in question here. We've been ride or die since we were kids, and we've had a friendship closer than every friend I've had in my life. However, right now, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't trust him or like him. I don't want to see him for the foreseeable future, and we'll see him again eventually, but not for a long time and not unless he actually goes through channels to better his life, like therapy and whatnot. Bottom line is that I feel hurt, unsafe, and very angry with my brother. When I told my family this, they lashed out at me, saying that I should be willing to forgive him because they forgive me for my mistakes all the time, that he's really sorry about it now, that my feelings are ridiculous, and that I'm being holier than thou just because he made a mistake. When I got 4 people putting me down for not wanting to be there for my brother right now I gotta ask the effing court. I don't feel like my feelings are being respected at all, and I don't want to force myself to feel some way, talk to him, or engage in our relationship just because it would be a shame to watch it end. I don't want to be around him, and apparently, I suck because of that. Am I the jerk? P.S. I'm still very angry. I'm sure you can tell, but I'm asking this here so I can add others' non-emotional perspectives into my life so I can think on it more and hopefully make the right steps. I want to feel how I want to feel naturally, but I don't want to make the wrong decisions because of it. I just feel wronged right now. All over chump change, by the way. Thank you for your time. ScalingStories Corner. Nah. OP's entire family, or at least the ones telling him to forgive his brother, need to shut up. Because I don't even understand the comparison they're trying to make when they're saying OP needs to forgive his brother because supposedly they forgive OP for his mistakes all the time. Like, what mistakes are we talking about here? OP didn't say anything about his mistakes, but I'm going to assume that he hasn't been stealing from his own mom and almost killed his brother. And dude, yeah, like, what the hell? OP got away from that situation unscathed, or relatively unscathed, because of sheer luck. If he was unlucky, he'd be badly wounded in the hospital, or in the worst case scenario, literally dead. If those family members can't understand why OP's brother can't just be easily forgiven, then they can just screw right off. I think they're just super stupid. I think OP has the right mentality about the situation already, and that he's going low or no contact with his brother unless he gets extreme help for his issues. Me, personally, I'm not sure if I would even give said brother another chance if that was me, because, yeah, that bullet was literally one chamber off from something catastrophic happening. But that's OP's decision, and, he's allowed to make his own decisions. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "He literally shot you. You had no idea which chamber the bullet was in, and you could be dead right now. You need to get the F away from all of these a-holes and never talk to any of them again. I can't even believe you're willing to forgive him at a future date. Your life is in danger if you get near that, grown, by the way, man ever again. He's effing 30 and acts like a 3-year-old. OP says, "Yeah, I forgot to mention it, but didn't want to edit the post due to the update limit. But a big problem everyone is having with my feelings is that it didn't happen, and I'm harping on a hypothetical. Stop living in a hypothetical world and start living in the now," is a direct quote from my other brother. It just makes me feel like my concern isn't given the weight it deserves. If that bullet was one chamber over, I would be dead. All over the fact that he didn't want to take accountability for stealing from my mom. I don't like feeling hate for anything, but I don't want to force myself to not hate him for this just cause he's family. F me, man. Edit. I forgot to say thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Update 1 day later. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for giving their support. It helped me communicate my feelings to my family and stand my ground. I do not trust my brother. I feel unsafe, and I do not forgive him. They keep trying to lessen his actions by saying, "He feels so bad. He loves me. He had a lot of stress. He had a mental breakdown," etc., etc. My mom even said, "Don't you go to church every Sunday? You can't forgive him?" I told her it feels like my feelings are being ignored, and she told me that I don't understand because I'm not a parent. She won't let either of her kids be homeless. She won't let her family be broken up. If I couldn't stand living with my brother, I could leave and live in my car. The family was broken up when he choked me. It was broken up when he pulled a gun. It was broken up when he pulled the trigger on my thigh. However, I can't change her mind. I feel unsafe, so I don't have a choice. I'll be living in my car for the foreseeable future. You gave me reassurance with your words, and while I admit that a car with no working AC in Florida is not an ideal living condition, I'm praying I can find my way back up out this pit. This sucks, but I would like to leave this family behind for my safety, my sanity, and my future. The reality of this is starting to hit me. I feel like I'm in effing shambles, but the genuine only other option is living in this house. She taught this man that he can do whatever, and she'll bail him out of all consequences. I'm heartbroken, but the rest of this is for me to worry about. Thank you for your kindness, and thank you for your time. You helped me realize that it is normal to feel the way I do about my brother, and it is correct to stand my ground. After I hit post, I'm going to let this pent-up emotion hit me in the sanctity of the backyard. Good night, everyone. Cherish your loved ones. Update number 2 in edit form. I will update the other posts with the same info. Some of y'all called it. He was on psychedelic drugs. He's going to rehab, therapy, and church. Not religious, but it's for community. He is also on medication to help him with his conditions. I am not expected to forgive him, and I certainly want to keep things slow. I don't want to hate anything, much less my brother, but what he did was horrible, and I don't want that getting ignored. I am moving in with my buddy. I will keep the door open for my brother, but I will keep things extremely slow and monitor his improvements over time. He's taking lessons in accountability and making a major effort, including paying mom back, buying me plenty of things to replace what he stole from me, and apologizing severely. I see in him that he recognizes what he did wrong and the danger he put me in. The last thing he told me today was, "I'm happy you're alive." My family acted quite crazy, and I think living on my own now is going to give me back a level of safety and control that I need. I am so unbelievably grateful to all of you who came in to offer advice, perspective, and outlets to find help. You gave me methods to word how I feel, strength to stand my ground, and patience to stay strong and hopeful in what is undoubtedly the hardest time in my life. Now I can say I had a loaded gun pointed at me twice in my life, Lamau. What an icebreaker. To everyone, thank you so much, and cherish your loved ones. Scaling Stories Corner. So, first off, I'm glad that OP is getting to move in with his friend. Legit having to live in his car because his family is being so freaking stupid regarding his brother was actually so infuriating. Like, his mom is saying how she won't allow her family to be broken up, but that literally would have happened if OP wasn't lucky and the bullet was in a different chamber. She would literally have a broken family, and this thought process of, oh, it didn't happen like that, so why are you so upset about it? Like, Jesus. It's actually impossible to talk to these kinds of people. Just straight up impossible. But yeah, anyway, glad OP will have a reliable place to stay, and he's very mature for keeping the door open for his brother. I know he was on drugs when he attacked his brother and did what he did, but that doesn't really excuse his actions in the slightest. I wouldn't have blamed OP if he didn't want to forgive his brother, but he is, and I completely respect that decision. Hopefully he does get the help he needs, and maybe they can repair that relationship in the future. And the relationship with the rest of the family, though, maybe after some super sincere apologies about how stupid they were being, then maybe. Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by Jay's Dream on May 11th, 2026, and was titled, "Would I be the jerk for taking away my friend's spare key of my apartment?" My 28 male friend, 27 male, recently broke up with his partner, 27 female. Let's call him Tim, made up name. Since he didn't want to stay in their shared apartment after the breakup, he asked me if he could stay at my place for a while until they settled their affairs. I agreed, and he's been using my guest room for 3 weeks now. We decided that he doesn't have to pay me rent, but he'll take over the grocery shopping. I cook every evening for both of us, but he takes on the grocery shopping and costs. All of that was fine with me until this weekend. Another friend of mine invited me to his birthday. He lives 6 hours away, so I told Tim I'll be gone from Friday to Sunday because I'll be sleeping over at my other friend's place. No issue. I came back home yesterday, Sunday, evening to a place full of trash. Tim had a party, which I didn't mind per se, but my entire apartment was full of empty bottles, empty food packages, and general trash. He didn't bother to clean up and didn't ask me if it was okay to have a party. I can also tell someone slept in my bed. or at least laid in it, since I tend to keep it made and clean. But when I came home, the sheets, covers, and blanket were in disarray. I'm thinking of kicking him out for that breach of trust. I work night shifts and he works during the day, so I haven't had time to confront him yet. But I feel uncomfortable about the whole ordeal. Yet, I feel like sending him back to his ex is a dick move as well. Edit 1. Since it might be relevant, we've been friends for about 10 years now. Edit 2. We live in Europe. ScalingStories Corner. Okay, so I am of the opinion that I would kick out this friend, either to a different friend's place if they can find someone willing to house them, or back to his ex's place, which I think is technically still his place. I mean, it sucks, but come on. Are you being serious right now? If I let you stay rent-free at my place for however long, and in this case it was 3 weeks, and the moment I leave, you think it's fine to throw a house party? I feel like that's kind of slapping me in the face with disrespect. And forget even asking OP if it was fine to have a party or not, but you don't even put in the effort to clean up the apartment after the party. And apparently the guests you invited also felt like it was okay leaving the place trashed. I mean, that's just kind of super inconsiderate. I would feel like I was taken advantage of. And what if people broke stuff or stole stuff? And he might be paying for the grocery bill, but that's nowhere close as cost saving compared to the free rent and utilities that OP is giving him. And it doesn't give him the right to do as he pleases with the place, as if he was like a actual tenant. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Not the jerk." Then having a party in your place? Hell nah. Then leaving it a mess? Same. If you give him one more chance, then so be it. But I'd say that should be the last time he disrespects your home again. OP says, "I thought about giving him another chance, but the more I think about it, the more I just want to come home to my own quiet apartment by myself. So maybe a bit of selfishness is mixed in here because that party just really made me want to have my place just for myself again. I do feel bad for kicking him out, but he'll live. Maybe not happily, but it's not like he'd be homeless." Commenter 2 says, "It's not selfish to want your place to yourself. I have been down this road so many times. After almost 40 years of family, which were the worst, and former friends, I absolutely refuse to let anyone stay for even a day. My peace is way more important than the problems that come with being a nice person to someone who obviously hasn't an ounce of respect for me and my husband." OP says, "I feel you. I always tell my friends to prioritize their health, but when it comes to myself, then it's suddenly a lot more difficult to follow my own advice. I still won't mind letting people stay over for a night, mostly because my apartment is the place everyone meets up at every week. I live right by the main station in the middle of the city, so easy to access even for those who don't have a car. But I don't think I'll let anyone stay for longer periods of time anymore. A night is fine if someone misses their last train, but that's it." OP responding to people telling him to kick his friend out before residency is established. "Thankfully, that law or rule doesn't exist in my country. If it did, I would act a lot differently. 30 days for residency sounds like a wild concept to me. That seems like it can cause a lot of chaos and trouble." OP says to another commenter, "He's not a very orderly person in general, but this weekend was pretty bad. Not sure if it was an instance of bad judgment yet. He's still at work. He'd probably give me grace if the situation was reversed, except for the bedroom. Pretty sure if I slept in his bed, he'd flip out on me." Update 1 day later. So, my friend came home from work, and I sat him down to talk. I'm not a confrontational person, so it was difficult to find the right words, but I think I managed it somehow. I told him I was disappointed with how he acted while I was away, and that coming back to my place full of trash and my bedroom in disarray was an absolute no-go for me. He apologized and told me he overestimated his limits on how much alcohol he could handle, so he didn't manage to get up on time to clean before I came home. He also explained that nobody actually slept in my bed overnight, but that he used it to lie down for a minute when he got migraines the evening before. In the end, I said that while I understand where he's coming from, that behavior isn't something I tolerated before, and I won't start now. We agreed that he can stay until the end of the week, so he has time to look for other accommodations. For anyone wondering, yes, he's already looking for a new place to live, and I've helped him look for apartments in the last weeks, but our city is hell when it comes to trying to rent a place without going bankrupt. He also doesn't own a car, so public transport has to be available, which makes it even more annoying. I'm sure many of you can relate. Since he apologized and I've known him for so long, I decided to not make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. He's in a difficult situation, and dropping a long-term friend over one mistake is not my style. We're both adults, and I trust him to learn from this experience. Thanks to everyone for commenting and giving me the courage to actually speak up. I know I tend to avoid difficult conversations, so the comments on my original post really helped. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Just be careful. Sounds like friend may make being in bad situations a way of life." OP says, "I'm aware, but I've been in a similar situation before, and he stayed and helped me through it. So dropping him over this would make me feel horrible. I have the hope that once he gets his own place and has some space for himself, a lot of his problems will sort themselves out. That relationship was toxic as hell." Commenter 2 says, "Did he clean up in the end?" OP says, "We cleaned up together." Commenter 3 says, "This friend of yours seems decent. He realizes he was wrong and apologized for it. You also handled the situation well, without damaging your friendship. By the way, have you checked your house again? If it were me, I'd double check my money, jewelry, and other valuables after having a group of strangers over at my place." OP says, "He is. Maybe a bit misguided sometimes, but he's a decent lad. I did check if anything was missing, but didn't find anything. But I'm not too worried. I know most of the people he invited, so it's not like he let complete strangers into my apartment. I also don't really own that much, except tools, vinyls, and Lego. Not a lot of valuables to steal. Haha." ScalingStories Corner. Yeah, I guess it's pretty good that OP's friend is sorry for what he did, and that their friendship is still going strong. I don't think I would have dropped him completely as a friend either if that happened to me, but they definitely would have been downvoted as a friend or something along those lines, if you know what I mean. And I would definitely trust them a little bit less, just because I think it should be common basic sense to tell the owner of the place you're crashing that you want to throw a party to begin with. And I guess Tim is kind of lacking a lot of common sense. Or maybe we're just different people, because I can't ever imagine following the steps that he did. I would first ask if a party was okay to begin with, and then I would make sure any valuables are hidden and stashed away, and I would make sure to clean up before I call it for the night. And even then, even my guests would have the self-awareness to not leave a place they just partied at trashed, and they would help with the cleanup before they left. But yeah, different lives for sure, and I'm glad they worked it out. Second update 12 days later. It's a short one, but my previous update post is almost 2 weeks old. Contrary to some commenters' beliefs, my friend did move out. He gave me back my spare key and went to crash at another friend's place for a few days. We've all helped him look for a new apartment and have found one he intends to take. He's signing the lease on Tuesday. Since his stuff is all over the place, we're all helping him move. His ex is at least polite enough to let some of us into the apartment to get the rest of his things. He took his name off the lease on Friday, and while his ex was whining the entire time, she accepted it well enough. Knowing her financial situation, she's probably looking for new apartments as well, since their old one is too expensive for one person to pay. My friend and I are getting along well, just like before this mess. He's been making an effort lately and actually paid me for the time I took him in. I didn't ask for money, but he came to me and gave me $300 for rent/utilities. Also, for the few who asked, no, I didn't change my locks or get new keys. He gave me back my spare key, and it's been fine. I'm confident that I know him enough to know he wouldn't have given the key to anyone else or made replicas. I appreciate the worry, but for now, it's not something I even consider as a possibility. Not sure if this is enough to be called an update, but I thought some folks might still appreciate it nonetheless. Edit. To clarify, his girlfriend cheated on him twice. At least, that's what she admitted to. So, the blame for this whole chaos isn't solely on him. ScalingStories Corner. That's a pretty good resolution. No big dramatic blowup, and his friend does seem pretty remorseful about his actions. Life moves on. And yikes, his girlfriend cheated on him twice? That's kinda savage. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, I'm glad this all turned out okay and that your friend is actually a decent person, as are you. It's nice to read that people can actually act like adults and be mature about things. Commenter 2 says, it's great he owned up to his mistake. If he did this to his friend, I can only imagine the partner he was. No one's accidentally getting drunk without asking and throwing a party. That's pretty intentional and purposeful. But I'm glad it all worked out with the power of communication. Okay, friends, so that concludes today's video. I hope you all liked it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.